God bless you. This is Reverend Timothy Sims, the Doers of the Word Ministries. And this is Us, God, Power for Black People. Now, the last time we were talking about how God really cares for us as black people. And we found out that the name of our continent that we came from is Alkebu-lan, not Africa, which was a small part that used to be Carthage until the Romans came in and renamed it. But Alkebu-lan is the name of the continent that our foreparents named it. Now, today, we're going to continue a bit, and we're going to show how God really cares for us as people of African or Alkebu-lanian origin. And the person we're going to really talk about, which we can really relate to, is Moses. Now, many of you have been told that Moses was somehow a person that was outside of Alkebu-lan, and he was not really part of the Kemetics, who were the Egyptians. But when we really read the writer of the first 5 books of the Bible, those first 5 books are the foundation or the basis for all the books of the Bible. The New Testament bases what it says on the first 5 books. The prophets base what they say on the first 5 books. The Revelation is based on the first 5 books because Genesis is the book of beginning. And then, of course, there's Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. The point of the matter is, those first 5 books, the foundational books, are from the Bible, and the writer of the first 5 books is none other than Moses. And he is a man of 2 heritages. He had 2 heritages. His first heritage was from his parents, namely Amram and his mother Jochebed. They were the children of Israel. They were from the tribe of Levi. And what they did was, especially his mother Jochebed, the parents instilled in Moses his spiritual heritage and his spiritual education. It's very important that we as African or Alkebu-lanian Christians who are parents begin to instill in our children their spiritual heritage, a spiritual education, namely, of course, the Lord Jesus Christ and our history as people of Alkebu-lanian origin. We need a program, and the Us God Power for Black People program does give you the educational, that is the spiritual part of it, and the historical part. That's very important. People that have their history go far. The Bible is basically talking about the children of Israel, and it gives you a brief summary of their history. We as Alkebu-lanian people have a great hand in the formation and the shaping of the Bible. Moses being the first major person that we really get to know because he's the one that God inspired to write the first 5 books. And Moses was a black man who was taught the wisdom of the Kemetics. That's found in Acts, the 7th chapter, and that's verses 20 to 22. And I'll read. It says, "In which time Moses was born and was exceeding fair." That means he was exceptional. "And nourished up in his father's house 3 months." Okay, so he was with his parents for 3 months. "And when he was cast out, Pharaoh's daughter took him up and nourished him for her own son." So now here's the situation here. We know that in Genesis, there was a command by one of the kings of Kemet. Not all of them said it, just this particular one that said that, oh, the enemies, our enemies are big. These children of Israel, the Hebrews, we're going to have to deal shrewdly with them. Let's put them in bondage. And then he gave the order also to have the firstborn males killed. But that was at a particular time, because we know that Moses was not the firstborn male of the household. Aaron was the firstborn male. So I'll put it this way. The male children were to be killed. But Aaron again was a male child. So he must have meant children or males that were just newborn, that were to be killed or to be put to death by any means necessary. But God had a plan. And so, as we know, he sent Moses up the Nile River in a basket to one of Pharaoh's daughters. And she took him up, as Acts the 7th chapter, the 20th verse says, or the 21st verse, and brought him up in the household of the king. And then in verse 22 it says, and Moses was learned in all the ways, all the wisdom of the Egyptians, or the Kemetics, and was mighty in words and in deeds. So this was a man who was very powerful when he spoke, as well as effective in action. Now, it's very important to understand that we know that Jochebed, that is his mother, during the time where he was brought up as a child, gave Moses the missing puzzle to his life. That is, who he really was, his real identity. We as Alkebu-lan Christians understand, and we're starting to really appreciate, that we are the people, or we're descendants of the people that started civilization going. We are the descendants of the parents of Earth's civilization. And in civilization, we're talking about the sciences, the arts, the culture, the music, the architecture, the civilization, the way of doing things. So with us, that was very important. Now, back to the Bible. Now, it's been said that the Bible is not a black person's Bible. In other words, black people didn't have a hand in it. However, Moses was a Kemetic. He was born in Kemet, or Egypt. He was considered an Egyptian, and this was the major point I wanted to bring out. If there was a difference in terms of the color between the children of Israel and the Kemetics at that time, if Pharaoh's daughter or one of his daughters had taken Moses into the household and tried to raise him up, he would have stuck out like a sore thumb. And Pharaoh would have said, how dare you go against my law? She would have been in trouble. So obviously, they must have looked very, very similar. Very similar. So, as you can see in the different programs that we had preceding this, that the Kemetics look like any other Alkebu-lan or African. And so what we're looking at is, we're looking at a group of people who were in Kemet for roughly 400 years,